because you know wild horses can't shut me up. I'm going to have him host the final segment coming up. But for this 9.5-minute segment, Roger Stone's here with us. So here's the Red State article, and then it links to Press TV. I mean, I don't just believe, you know, mainstream media here in the U.S. or even Red State, who are good folks. Iran's foreign minister threatens to expose Western diplomats who took bribes to create the Iran nuclear deal. Here's the thing. The whole establishment's pissed at Trump because he's kicking the lobbyists out, because he's making it about America. Now they all turn it into Michael Cohen, Novartis, AT&T giving him some money to advise them. That's totally legal. I'm surprised there's not more lobbying in the Trump operation. He's lost probably $1 billion being sued and attacked. I know we're under attack. You're under attack. I'm not just blindly defending the president. I don't care if he gets money or even gets funded under these attacks, as long as he's bringing jobs back pro-America. But separate from that, they want to make it about Cohen getting money from AT&T and a drug Novartis or whatever to, like, advise them. I mean, I've been paid to advise major companies before because they really want my advice. But how is that illegal? Where are the Russians? They're not there, except if you look at Hillary. But meanwhile, Iran is pissed now in Press TV. This is on Infowars.com if you're a radio listener. Go look it up for yourself. Threatening to release U.S. government officials they bribed for the deal. That's the briar patch Trump wants to be in. What do you make of this, Roger Stone?
You know, I think you're calling it right on the head, Alex. The president has told me repeatedly since the beginning of his term that he was determined to get us out of the Iran deal, which he thought was a bad deal, a ripoff, as he would put it. And he was always determined. His own State Department, many of his own foreign policy advisors argued against it. The foreign policy establishment argued against it. John Kerry went out and engaged in personal diplomacy in violation of federal law, the Logan Act, and should be prosecuted.
So let me ask you, you've got all the answers. Why would they do something so reckless with this Mueller dictatorship? Why did they do something that doesn't make sense?
This is why he was so determined, because he knew he had this whole card. I think you've hit it exactly on the head. And I think he knew when this became public, it would undermine what little support the deal has left.
Exactly. So what are the mullahs thinking? Because I said weeks ago it's about exposing the bribery, which was starting to come out. Are the mullahs selling deep state, kill Trump or we'll out you?
I think they are. I think they are.
Then at that point, I say vaporize their ass. I'm against these wars, but I'm tired of putting up with their Iranian, you know, garbage.
I honestly believe the thing that bothers the president the most is the concept of pallets of cash, hundreds of millions of dollars in
$36 billion now in gold and cash.
Not accounted for in the basic agreement, like a secret side deal kept from the American people.
Which we now know was a kickback to them. So how big is this?
That torques Trump beyond all words that we're being ripped off like that.
Because let's explain. He's a big penny pincher.
He's the cheapest human being that ever lived, and that's the guy you want as the steward of our tax dollars.
Well, he's totally... And I've got my points. Go ahead.
Well, I think that that you're exactly right. That he always knew that he had this as a whole card, which is why he faced down the entire establishment and went ahead and cashiered this lousy deal. Needless to say, this whips the deep state types into another level of hysteria that they've got to get rid of it as quickly as possible. He's already taken us out of Paris. They were apoplectic about that, the Paris Climate Accords. Now it's the Iranian deal. He's on the verge. He killed
the TPP. Listen, I criticized him on Syria, but that was because I love him. But I want people to think I'm off the Trump train. It's the opposite. He's so good, it's crazy. What do you make of Brennan coming out and saying Trump's a chump with North Korea when they're about to blow up their tunnels? They've agreed to give up their nukes. You can tell wanting to have peace and actually deciding to do it. I mean, you can see the shift because the globalists never wanted peace. Trump's saying it's over. I mean, this is incredible.
No, basically, Brennan is publicly admitting that he couldn't get a deal done, that he and Bush could not get a deal done, that he and Obama could not get a deal done because the North Koreans viewed us as pussies. Now the North Koreans now believe that the United States has got a real leader who will smack them hard if they get out of line, and that peace is much more palatable than somebody who is not going to let you get away with what Obama let him get away with. In this case, the saber rattling has paid off. It brought them to the table.
Well, Roger, you're one of my big sources, but obviously you know I've got a lot of big sources. And I was told when I was on a skiing trip in early March that they already agreed tacitly to give everything up. This was all going to happen because there had been a strategic tension and that the globalists didn't want peace before. The U.S. was basically had more control of North Korea through the Clintons than the Chinese did. Now you hear, word for word what I was told a month and a half ago, Pompeo on Fox News this morning said, Fox News Sunday said, we're going to give them power plants. We're going to give them industry. And they go, oh, but he's a dictator. He's like, it won't matter. It's like China. The people are going to get meat. They're going to get food. Our deal is that we're going to industrialize them. Korea is the most productive country in the world per capita. We're about to do that. It looks like Trump has successfully, because we know China's had a bunch of wars with Korea. They actually hate Korea. Trump has successfully peeled them off. If this ends up happening, this is the ultimate coup against communism. I am beside myself if this happens.
Well, Alex, the little rocket man wants Coca-Cola. He wants a piece of the pie. He could share the Nobel Peace Prize if he gets something done and if he moves in a peaceful direction.
Exactly. And the globalists wanted to keep tension and fighting going forever to sell weapons. Trump goes, I'll sell weapons to Japan and South Korea and the North. We're not going to use the damn things. You're going to be making big screen TVs, North Korea. Exactly. You can tell, though, the globalists are panicking. Their strategy of crisis is coming to an end. But let's not start getting too confident. When you come back and you host, you're going to cover whatever you want in the last segment, Roger, because I respect you. I want to give you time here. You got a big night ahead up, turn down that hot blonde tonight or hot brunette or whatever. Your beautiful wife, your brunette. The point is that we're sitting here looking at this. What's the six? What's the jack? What's the threat? What do we got to look for? Let's not start getting too confident here, even though it looks like total victory's within grasp.
Well, in all honesty, I think that we face the greatest challenge we ever faced. The hysteria of the deep state is ratcheting up. This just moves Mr. Mueller into high gear and trying to make something of the Michael Cohen affair, the details of which are still not clear, but somehow figure out a way to euchre that into testimony against Donald Trump. The increasing scouring of the earth for Russian collusion where none can be found, the tactics being used by Mr. Mueller, their refusal to turn over to the executive branch the information and documents pertaining to the illegal surveillance of the Trump campaign. The liberals want to talk about a constitutional crisis. There it is.
I was about to say, we were in D.C. together last year when the front page of the New York Times said Trump was surveilled. We already knew that. A week later, they said we never said that. Now they've been proven to be liars. And now it's all come out that Brennan and Comey and Mueller lied to Congress. These guys are sitting ducks, except you've got that attorney general who I think they caught, the word is, a KKK outfit.
Well, something. He's either doddering or he's compromised. Look, there's a common thread here. The New York Times reported that Manafort and I and Carter Page were under FISA surveillance. They have never retracted that story. The government in the Manafort case refuses to turn over in discovery any evidence of government surveillance, insisting he was never surveilled. Jeff Sessions is refusing to hand over to Congress
Jeff Sessions is a compromised globalist operative. The fake QAnon's totally compromised. Roger Stone on the other side will host and give you a report on the current state of the battle. But hey, we're winning. The economy's coming back. So many good things are happening, but it doesn't mean that they won't kill the president or start a civil war. So we've got to be super laser beam focused. They're trying to block us and censor us at every front. Newswars.com, Infowars.com, Europewars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. And the fact that I know even his background, well, he helped get a bunch of communists arrested in the 80s for Reagan and working for Nixon right through. The way he's been demonized, it's because he's pro-America. And their claim that I'm a Russian agent. Infowars rebooted the country with you, the listeners. You rebooted the country. We're the people that support the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, the sovereignty. My only criticism of Trump is he's kicking the hell out of Russia with sanctions beyond anything Obama or anybody ever did, and massing troops on their border. And just, I like the fact that he did energy policies that are good for America, but man, God, that hurt Russia bad. So be it. But it's just sick when the communist Chinese are on record running Hollywood. They now own it, running our media. Panama Canal, most of the universities enslaving their own people, and then they point at us and say we're the traitors. That's ridiculous. We got 9.5 minutes left. Roger, I'll be here at the end. I'm here watching you live right now, but I want you to have the floor here so I don't interrupt. To just give people a State of the Union address. The point we're at right now at a real historic crossroads where the people really count what they say and do. Roger Stone, the globalists are desperate. They're losing, but they're going to strike back. What do you see in your crystal ball? What do your sources tell you?
Alex, the stage is set for an epic clash, and it's time sensitive, and here is why. Robert Mueller is stepping up the pressure to remove this president in what I have described as a deep state coup. The president's lawyers, to review, his initial lawyers, lulled him into a false sense of complacency and confidence that the inquiry would literally just go away. They promised him a letter from the special counsel by Christmas. Then it was New Year's. Then it was the end of January. Now it's May, and no letter is forthcoming. The list of questions published in the New York Times on page 1 that Mr. Mueller wants to ask the president strip bare any facade that this is about Russia. And quite clearly, the president has been jolted by the fact that they want to look into every aspect of his career and his executive actions, including the depositions of his children. The president signaled a change by bringing in Mayor Giuliani. Now, he has clearly suffered some slings and arrows for some of his comments regarding the sideshow of Stormy Daniels. But on the key question of Comey, Mueller, and the illegitimacy and outrageousness of this inquiry, this inquisition to remove the president, he has been most effective. More importantly, I believe that he is urging the president to do what he should have done some time ago and take dramatic action by terminating some of the bad actors in this drama. Now, the reason that he must move quickly is because the U.S. Senate is racing to legally protect Robert Mueller, the special counsel, from being terminated. The constitutionality of that has to be questionable. Mr. Mueller doesn't even answer to a 3-judge panel as he would have to under the old special counsel law, which has expired. He merely has Mr. Rosenstein rubber stamping his rampage into any area he wishes to pursue. And he is, I think, grasping at straws, having come up with no Russian payday. He is forced to go back to the questions of Mr. Comey and Mr. Sessions, Comey's termination and the threats to terminate Sessions. Now, in view of the fact that both a Republican and Democratic Justice Department have both ruled that a sitting president cannot be indicted for a crime while in office, what can be the purpose of this inquiry other than to remove the president, to undo what they could not do at the ballot box? I think the president now realizes the danger that is afoot. I think the president understands the power that he has, but he must move on them before they move on him. He has the power to pardon everyone who has currently been indicted. He has the power to terminate Mr. Sessions and Mr. Rosenstein. He has the power to order the appointment of a special prosecutor on both the FISA warrants, where the Justice Department is stonewalling Chairman Nunes, hiding the ball in an unconstitutional game of keep away. He has the authority to deal a solid blow to those who move closer and closer to removing him on some bogus, trumped-up charge. In the meantime, I can tell you that the Senate announced last week, or it was, I should say it was leaked, that Sam Nunberg has been asked to provide all emails between he and I that pertain to, you bet, WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, Russia, Guccifer 2.0. There's nothing in these emails that concerns me. Mr. Nunberg is the gift that keeps on giving.
And Roger, let me just jump in briefly here. because I'm sitting here watching you, and you're absolutely on target. And today, before we went on air, I thought, get on the offense, Alex. You're always covering what they do. We're trying to bring back jobs, thousands of factories. Trump, $24 billion in black, African-American targeted, direct scholarships. And the left's going, oh, that's racist. It should be for everybody. That's more than 50 years of black scholarships. In 4 years, he's already signed the order. Here's the deal. I totally agree with that. Don't take somebody else's college slot because they're Asian or white or a woman. Give somebody a damn scholarship. I'm all about paying tax money for that. I like that idea of actually like here, boom, you did good in school or whatever, you tried, you get this. I mean, he's doing so good. And then I see all these attacks. It makes me sick. Do we forget that Donald Trump, I know I'm changing subjects here. Do we forget Donald Trump 40 years ago bought a bunch of golf courses that blacks and Jews and Hispanics? I can't believe that when I was like 4 years old, people couldn't play golf anywhere they wanted, that there were still golf courses, like Bushwood from the imaginary Caddyshack, where blacks and Hispanics and gays and Jews couldn't play. And Trump is the guy that bought dozens and did that, and then that's why all the rappers loved him, and then they turn around like cowards like Snoop Dogg and crap all over him. That pisses me off, that I have the real white supremacist against me because I've been for real inclusion as a libertarian for years, and there's this secret conservatism of racism that plays into the left. I'm done with the blue bloods. I'm done. I was never with them, but I'm done with the blue bloods. I'm done with everybody. But that doesn't mean that I look at black racists or Hispanic racists who tell me to kiss their butt because I'm white. No, you go to hell too. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense. Look, you can go on YouTube now and find footage of Jesse Jackson praising Donald Trump for his work in the community. Donald Trump is not a racist. This is the name calling.
Are we ever going to drop the secret weapon on him about Trump?
You might. I'm not going to.
Let's just say Donald Trump likes black people.
Yeah, he loves black people. Look.
But they'll turn it into something like Thomas Jefferson's bad.
Well, the left is very interesting. When Bill Clinton engages in oral sex in the Oval Office with a intern, they say that's none of anybody's business. That's personal conduct. Yet they're wild about Stormy Daniels, which, if anything happened, it was consensual.
But if the president had a black supermodel girlfriend 30 years ago, that's racist.
Well, it'd be racist for us to say that, probably.
Well, I'm not saying it.
I've heard that, though. People are saying it. People say
oh, my God. Well, talking to Trump, a lot better than me, 40-something years. He talks about energy. So in closing, what is this thing with Trump and energy? Kanye talked about dragon energy. Trump said we get the energy. When I've talked to Trump, the few times I've talked to him, 10 times or something, you've talked to him 1,000 times, he talks about energy. He really, he loves black churches. What's going on there?
He is not a man who likes to be bored. He's constantly on the move. He likes to see things moving. He likes, he likes upbeat people.
But it's not an ass-kissing event. He really likes black people.
I think he likes everybody. This is the fundamental difference between he and Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump loves people.
Well, you heard him say, I want victory for the planet.
He can talk to anybody easily.
Well, I know personally, when he heard Obama 5 years ago say Africa can't have air conditioning, he stood up in his chair when he heard that.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
Well, how racist is that to say black people can't have anything? Roger Stone, you've done an incredible job. Join me again tomorrow. So much is happening. We really appreciate you. And God bless you, my friend. Western Europe has already banned free speech, and an iron curtain of censorship is descending down over the UK. They're set to pass rules, not a law, that if you criticize Islam or gays, you'll get 6 months in prison. We know we're only about a year or two behind what's happening in the UK. CNN and many others are calling for InfoWars to be shut down, taken off the web. Slate magazine has a professor and others saying, go beyond censorship, brainwash young people against InfoWars, psychologically inoculate them with lies so they don't actually hear what we have to say. We are the most hated news source in the world by globalists. It is so critical that you go to Infowars.com/newsletter and sign up for the free newsletter so we can be in contact with you and so the censors can't bully their way in and block us being able to engage in free, open dialogue as a society. That is critical to this fight. We will prevail if you take action, and I know you will.